Hello and welcome to the Darby Creek Diaries with the Fall Lawn Fawn Fans video hop. I'm so glad you stopped by. If you haven't stopped by before, I hope you'll like and subscribe and stop at everyone's stops and comment, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. Today we're going to do a twofer, and we're going to start out with this cute little s'mores die from Lawn Fawn. You can either die cut it out in all these colors, or you could just do it all in white and do all the coloring. I, of course, am too lazy for that, so I die cut everything out. Plus, I'm not the world's best colorer. You could either use glue or you could use a double-sided adhesive. And all I'm doing is just inlay die cutting here, making sure that my little frame to my s'more is nice and straight and correct. With these tiny pieces, I would say that I would probably next time use double-sided adhesive. But this works great too. I'm just filling in now. That's the chocolate. That's the best part of the s'more. There's the marshmallow. And I'm getting it all fit in there just like a puzzle. And now we're going to start putting in the graham cracker. Super, super easy die cut and lay. I suppose if you wanted to use the leftover pieces, you could just have different colored s'mores. But to me, you could just use scraps and it's fine. So I hope everyone's doing great today. I'm so grateful to Lawn Fawn for sponsoring this. There'll be a $25 gift card sponsored by Lawn Fawn. All you have to do is comment on everybody's stops, and the next stop is going to be in my description box at the very top. I'm taking those little bitty pieces and using my little jewel picker to put those in. You probably wouldn't even have to do that. Any cute, but I decided to do it. You could probably color in something. And I'm taking a little bit of the clear blending pen first to get a little bit of liquid going on the paper. And now I'm going to move it around the color a little bit. I'm making it so my little marshmallow has been toasted. Now I am not the Copic queen by any stretch of the imagination. So I'm not going to bore you with the whole thing, but this is pretty simple. If I can do it, anybody can do it. And I keep, changing my mind and going back and going, ooh, now I'm blending it out again. That blender pen's a lifesaver, by the way. If you don't have a Copic blender pen, get one. It's good to have the paper a little bit damp. I think the color moves a little better. So that's why I put that on first. That way it's not as harsh. And I think it just blends a lot better. So our little guy, he's getting all cooked there. I just love his little arms and feet. So there's our little guy so far, but I decided, maybe we ought to kind of make that cardstock have a little bit of character too. So I'm just adding a little brown here and there to kind of give it a little bit of depth. That's the one thing you wouldn't get. There's our little guy. He even has little graham cracker dots on the top. Isn't that cute? Now I'm going to put his little cheeks on. These are really teeny tiny, and I'm thinking that if I was a braver colorer, I would just use my markers. But it does add a little bit of cuteness to him. I'm taping down, I don't know where this stencil came from. It's super, super old, but I die cut it with a Lawn Fawn scallop border die. And I'm going to add a little bit of interest to this by just putting some Versamark ink, kind of stomping it through the little circles there. I didn't want it to have a lot of impact. I just wanted it to not be plain cardstock. And as you can see, this stencil is just maybe a little thick, and so I really had to kind of ram it in there. And then my hinge kind of came off, but I lined up my little circles there, and I put in a little more where it was missing. Some of it's going to get covered up anyway. But there is our background, and I wanted to make sure it was really dry before I started messing with it, because Versamark is a sticky ink, so it takes a little second. I used a heat tool and not an embossing tool. Now I'm going to go ahead and score it. So we have the top of our bag, and I'm seeing that it's at 5 1/4. So we're going to back the trolley up. The bone folder that came with this is much pointier, but it fell behind the counter and I just haven't gotten it. So I'm using my Teflon one and doing the math twice. You know, you always want to measure twice, score once, or you have yourself a big old dent where you don't want it. And this is pretty thick cardstock, so I had to give it a pretty good shove. Now I'm kind of laying things out kind of like I want them. That's a scrap from another project I thought was kind of peppy. It looked kind of like fire. And we're just going to line her up in the Misty. And I love using the grids, and that grid paper is really great too. I'm going to just stamp it with, and I'm going to also, I kind of rub my finger on that and put a little bit of cloth on it to kind of season it because I hadn't used that stamp before. You don't have to do that with rubber, but you do kind of have to do it with the clear. I have a dip in my table, so I have to kind of do a little bit of CPR. And there is the beginnings. He's going to be holding up the little sign, and he's just so cute. And I want to allow for space to put my little holes so that I can punch them out and I can tie the bag shut. So I'm just kind of figuring this out here. My long reach punch, I doesn't like having the 2 layers of paper, so I wound up doing it. But the great way to line this up worked out using the little dots from the stencil. So I could, you know, count over, and I kept going, okay, now let me count again, because I can't remember anything anymore. I hit 60. And I'm telling you, the mind goes, the body goes, the vision goes. So here we go. I'm figuring this out, and I'm just going to do it one punch at a time. And I made sure it was even, popped through there, and I certainly got it close. There is that, and I'm going to just adhere him to the little topper there. You really can't go wrong. You can just pretty much stick this anywhere. And then put our little sentiment there. Now this glue does dry completely matte and clear, so if you goof, it doesn't matter. I do kind of dab it up though, just because I'm used to doing it. Then I decided to take my glitter marker and just highlight a few things. I don't know that you can see it that well, and marshmallows typically don't have sparkles, but whatever. There is our s'more mix. It's a candy bar and several graham crackers and marshmallows in case you screw up and burn one. And I'm just going to poke holes through to make sure I have them in the right spot using my pokey tool. And I've already stapled the bag shut for freshness. Now I'm finding that, oh, this stupid punch doesn't work that well, so I'm just poking through, making bigger holes with my tool. And I fold over some of the candy corn twine and poke it through all the holes. It's kind of tricky. Takes me a minute. I'm sorry some of it went off screen. A bunch of it goes off screen here in a second, but you've seen people tie bows. I don't think it's anything new and exciting, and I'm not especially good at bow tying anyway, so you're not missing anything. So that's kind of how we're going to leave that one. So that is treat bag number 1, Smiley s'more guy that I keep fussing with. Now we're going to go to treat bag number 2 using the Trick or Treat little Lawn Fawn mini set, and then the add-on to the candy corn set. There's like a little jar set, and there are a bunch of little add-ons to it, and this one's the candy corn. And I'm stuffing a bunch of them all on a clear block so you can stamp more than one at a time. And I don't know what I'm fiddling with, but I've got my VersaFine Clair back out. Any black ink that's Copic friendly will do. I'm sure Lawn Fawn has a wonderful one. I just can't think of the name of it right off. And so I'm just positioning this. You don't want to position everything so it's all in the center. And like I said, I've got that little dip, so I have to kind of work with it. And I'm wanting to keep my mat clean, although it wipes right off that waffle flower mat. I love that mat and I use it a lot. You just don't want to get Copics on it because that will stain it. So one more corner, and then I'm figuring out how to fit all this in. And I'm looking, and gonna finish this up. I do. It fuss a lot. I think we all do. You know, sometimes you ought to just stamp and go. Now there are some gaps there that I'm not thrilled with, so I'm using my finger tool and just sticking the stamp on the end of my finger there. That way I can put it anywhere I want. And it doesn't get any easier than that. Of course, I still can't decide on how to do most things, but I know I do want him kind of going off the page there. So that, oh, got to put another one there. I can never stop. Now I'm going to take my Copic markers, but this somehow just, I don't know what happened to the footage of this. I don't know if the camera turned off or if I forgot to turn it on after doing something. I just don't know. But this is very simple. I only used a couple of colors on each level, and I had to check which way, which order these stripes go. Can you believe that? I couldn't remember, and so I Google it, and then all I had to do is really look over because I had the candy corn sitting right next to me. Duh. So the little guys are going to get all colored in candy corn colors here, but like I said, I'm not the Copic person, so I just jumped to the end there, and there is our bag with our little bats and candy corn. I think it's so cute, and this is the payday mix. You use half candy corn, half dry roasted nuts, and it'll taste like a payday if you put both in your hand at once. And our s'mores. I hope you enjoyed this. Be sure to comment on all the stops so that you have a chance to win a $25 gift certificate to Lawn Fawn. Thanks again. Make sure you follow me everywhere. I'd love to have you. I'm going to leave some videos for you until I see you next time. Take care. Have a great week, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.